Clark injury away from this league, going back to pre-2024, not 2023, but lower than everything lower than 2024. Like, we all know this league is nowhere near as culturally relevant right now.
We're one Caitlin Clark injury away from this league slipping right back to where it was before 2024. That's not exaggeration. It's the uncomfortable reality shaping every decision in these CBA talks. What's happening now is both sides playing the most dangerous game of chicken the WNBA has ever seen.
The league knows it's a problem, but the players, and this is where the kind of lack of professionalism on the player side comes in. Like, they're like reposting stuff about striking. They basically said here, at midnight it expires. Despite demonstrating our willingness to compromise in order to get the deal done, they've shown no willingness. From what we've seen, the players have said
the silence is striking. Major shows like First Take aren't talking about women's basketball. ESPN barely covered Paige Becker dropping 44 points. The only WNBA story that got attention in January 2025 was Caitlin Clark's first unrivaled game and speculation about her joining the Liberty. In just 6 months, the league went from cultural sensation to an afterthought. And that's what makes this so dangerous. The WNBA Players Association let their collective bargaining agreement expire at midnight on January 31st. They staged an inflatable rat outside the NBA store in New York. They're tweeting about strikes. And across the table, the league's response can be summed up in one word: unsustainable.
Use every bit of leverage they have to get as much money as they can. As long as they don't overplay their hand and the season doesn't happen. Even fuck it, even if they don't, even if some of the games have to be played in alternate arenas because they're double booked, who cares? Like, at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that the season happens. The players need to use every bit of leverage. This is a game of chicken that right now the owners are winning. Because
now here's where both sides are really taking risks. The players claim the league isn't negotiating in good faith. They're tweeting about labor protests and saying they'll do whatever it takes. But in reality, they're refusing to compromise. They've drawn a hard line and are daring the league to cross it. The league, meanwhile, knows something the players often don't want to face. Only a handful of players carry enough individual brand power to outshine their team. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Buchers, Sabrina Ionesco, Brianna Stewart, Aya Wilson, and Fisa Collier. That's it. Everyone else, from a business standpoint, replaceable. It's harsh, but true. Take the Connecticut Sun as an example. You could swap out their whole roster with talented newcomers from college or overseas, and attendance wouldn't drop. TV ratings wouldn't change. The team's brand, not the individual players, drives the business. And that's true for most franchises in the league.
Aya Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, Brianna Stewart, and Fisa Collier. If this league shuts down, and those 6 or 7 players that I've mentioned, if the league shuts down, and every city that has a team, because yes, there are cities that have fans, every city that has a team starts a breakout league, and every single player in the WNBA, except for those 6 players, doesn't play, and they all play in their markets.
Here's the nightmare scenario keeping everyone up at night. Imagine the players hold firm. They strike. Games are missed. The 2025 season is delayed or even canceled entirely. What happens next? The league doesn't collapse instantly, but the dominoes start falling fast. Sponsors pull out because there's no product to attach their brand to. The new TV deal, the one everyone is counting on to fund higher salaries, could get renegotiated or canceled because the league failed to deliver. Teams in smaller markets that were already losing money, they could shut down completely. Then what? Some players might think they can start a new league or join an existing alternative. But here's the reality check. Unrivaled is already struggling. The numbers don't lie. Even with huge investment from tech entrepreneurs, the Caitlin Clark boom, and a Rush TNT deal after losing NBA rights, Unrivaled finished last in primetime.
I think everybody knows this isn't a case of, is there going to be a 2026 season? This is a case of, is this league going to exist or not? And who has more to lose by this league not existing? And I think the players have more to lose. That's just my opinion. I think the players should hold out. I think the players, they don't like what they get, they should hold out. They should absolutely hold out. No question about it. Get as much as you can get. Get every cent until you have to
Let's break down leverage, because this is where the players may be misreading the situation. They're acting like they hold all the power because the league needs them. But the truth? The league doesn't need every player. It needs Caitlin Clark healthy and on the court. That's the real leverage right now. If Caitlin Clark tore her ACL tomorrow, the league's revenue projections would collapse. The TV deal would get renegotiated downward. Attendance would fall back to 2023 levels. That fluctuating revenue share the players are demanding. Suddenly, the salary cap could drop from $1.3 million to $600,000. At that point, the league wouldn't be sustainable anyway. The owners know this. The league office knows this. And deep down, the players know it too. That's why the standoff is so dangerous. Both sides are betting the future of women's professional basketball on outlasting the other in a negotiation where neither can actually afford to lose.
And money's not going to be made up elsewhere. So your players care deeply about the fans, take pride and honor and loyalty every time they take part in the court. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Like, I mean that. And this is not a knock on certain players. It's not a knock on teams. It's not a knock on the league. I do not believe that the majority of WNBA players care about a single fan. I don't believe that. And that's not like a. I think they care about sport basketball. I think they care about their teammates. I think they care about a lot of things. I don't think a lot of them care about the act.
Here's what really needs to happen, and why it probably won't. The players need to realize that a fixed salary cap with guaranteed annual increases is safer than a revenue share tied to a league that might not even exist in 3 years. The league needs to offer enough money that players feel fairly compensated without risking financial collapse. Instead, we're seeing inflatable rats, social media statements about being undervalued, and both sides digging in while the clock ticks down. The Players Association claims they care about the fans and honor them on the court. That's PR talk. The reality? Most players care about fans' money. And most owners do too. That's professional sports. The difference is owners can survive without the WNBA. They're billionaires with diversified portfolios. The players? This is their career, their livelihood, and they're betting it all on a hand weaker than they think. Here's the frustrating part. The players are right. They deserve more. The league made big revenue gains in 2024. Attendance and ratings soared. Merchandise sales exploded. Caitlin Clark's jersey outsold every NBA player except LeBron James and Steph Curry for a period. The players created that value and should share in it. But the way they're going about it risks destroying the golden goose. You can't demand 30% revenue sharing when the league has historically run at a loss. You can't threaten strikes when the league's relevance depends on one player staying healthy. You can't act like you have leverage when alternative leagues are already failing. The Players Association says the league is risking fan trust by clinging to the status quo. But here's the question no one is asking. If the WNBA shuts down, most players sit out, and someone starts a breakaway league with replacements in every market, do the fans even care? Here's the harsh reality. If you replaced every Connecticut Sun player with random people, but kept the Sun brand, would attendance drop? Probably not. Swap out every player on a team that doesn't have one of the 6-star players. Would anyone really notice? Most fans aren't coming for individual players. They're coming for their local team and the experience of watching pro women's basketball. That's why the league actually holds the leverage, even if it doesn't feel like it. The WNBA brand has real value. Individual teams matter in their markets. But most players, they're replaceable. This isn't a judgment of talent or worth. It's just the economic reality for a league still building its foundation. Now, what if games are actually missed, not just delayed? Players might think this creates urgency and forces the league to give in. Here's what would really happen. Sponsors start asking for money back. Deals have to be renegotiated because the product they paid for isn't delivered. TV partners push to adjust or cancel contracts. They're not getting the games they signed up for. Casual fans, the ones who only started watching in 2024, drift away. They're not invested enough to follow a labor fight. They'll just watch something else. The narrative flips. Right now, the WNBA is seen as growing, exciting, and worth investing in. A strike turns that story into unstable, risky, maybe not worth it. And that shift, it sticks. Players say they're willing to do whatever it takes. But are they willing to burn $5 million? Because for most players, missing a season costs exactly that. An average WNBA player making $200,000 a year over a 10-year career earns $2 million. Miss one season, and you just lost 10% of your lifetime basketball income. Miss a season and the league folds, you've lost everything. And it's not like there are other options waiting. Overseas leagues pay, but they're not suddenly doubling their offers because WNBA players are available. Unrivaled is already struggling to draw viewers. ICE, the new 3-on-3 league, hasn't proven it can survive. So where exactly do the players think they'll make up that lost money? Here's the truth about negotiations. Both sides need the ability to walk away. The owners can do that. They'll lose money on their WNBA investment, but they're wealthy enough that it doesn't matter. The players can't walk away. This is their career, their livelihood, their dream. Yet they're negotiating like they have equal leverage, and they don't. The smartest move? Take the league's offer. A fixed salary cap with guaranteed 5% annual increases. Call it a win because they got raises. Then, in 3 years, renegotiate with real data on whether the 2024 boom was sustainable. But they won't do that because they're being advised as if this were an NBA-level negotiation, when the WNBA simply doesn't have that kind of leverage. So what's likely to happen? 3 scenarios. The players blink at the last moment, accept a deal slightly better than the league's original offer, but far below their demands. Declare victory, and everyone moves on. They strike, miss games, panic when the public doesn't support them, and end up taking a worse deal than they could have gotten. They strike, the season is canceled, the league folds, and professional women's basketball in the U.S. dies for a generation. My prediction? The first scenario. Players will realize that walking away from the WNBA doesn't mean a better alternative. It means no professional basketball in America at all. They'll take the best deal they can get and move forward. The fact that we're even having this conversation and that the third scenario is possible says everything about how fragile the WNBA still is. In 2024, the league had its best year ever. Caitlin Clark drew unprecedented attention. Ratings soared. The future finally looked bright. And now, just 6 months later, we're debating whether the league will even exist. This isn't about evil owners or greedy players. It's about the economics of women's professional basketball. They haven't changed as much as people think. Here's the question I want you to really consider. If the WNBA season gets canceled because of this negotiation, whose side are you on? Are you with the players demanding more money, even if it risks the league? Or are you with the owners trying to protect the league's long-term survival, even if it means limiting the players' pay? You can't say both sides are right. This is a choice, and it's a high-stakes one.